And hey there, hi there, ho there, and a gracious good Saturday morning to you. Welcome back for another exciting edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast, where we bring you the joy and excitement of UofL women's sports. I want to wish everybody out there a happy Boxing Day, as it is also the start of Kwanzaa today. And a lot of great things have been going on, hopefully for you and yours over the last couple of days. We certainly have been enjoying things as well here within the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour crew. Would love to wish Case Hoskins, who is not with us today, a very happy birthday. He's not on the broadcast, but enjoying the day with wife and family. And also Daryl Faust is with her mother today on her birthday, so they will be absent from the show. But hey, we still got me, Jared Anderson, and Jeff McAdams, as old Polly and the gang here are going to get you through this one. So pour a glass of eggnog and join us for the show today. So, just started out, Jared. How were the holiday festivities for you, sir?
They were altered as we tried not to get the entire family together in one sitting, but overall, my holiday festivities went very well.
Did you get any good gifts?
Oh yeah, plenty of coal to keep my fireplace warm. But no, I did. I did ask Santa for an iPad so I can do more editing photos on the go, and then I got one of the smart Apple pencils that go with it and a keyboard. So plenty of stuff to treat my iPad as a tablet and take that down to South Carolina with me next week and make sure I can still get the articles going.
Cool. Electronically improving. Very, very cool. And then, from what I understand, Jeff, you did most of your stuff Christmas Eve with family and then had a nice restful day of Christmas doing stuff around your place.
Yeah, I'm single, don't kids myself, but my brother and sister-in-law have a couple of kids, and so they do all of their stuff Christmas Day with the four of them and enjoy their time together. So consequently, the larger part of the family that I celebrate with has done everything on Christmas Eve. So Christmas Day for me was a very quiet day. Very little that I did. I did some stuff around the house, did a little light electrical work, replaced a switch in my kitchen, and did some playing around with some of my technology that I work with. It was a nice day to quietly work on a little bit of that, and joined my parents for dinner just to get together for dinner and help them out with some technology stuff at their place. So yeah, typical.
Go, both you guys IT involved with stuff. Wow, I'm impressed. As for old Polly here, it's just a day of getting together with my adopted sister and family and such, and having a bit of food, a bit of beverage, and also doing something I hadn't done. I was trying to figure out the last time I had done this. I played Clue, the board game Clue, if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
And I kind of vaguely remember that. I kept insisting it was Dana Evans with a three-pointer in the KFC Yum Center, but they would not accept that as the answer. So I think eventually it was Colonel Mustard killed somebody with a lead pipe, but that's all foggy. But certainly great. It was great to be around once again. The joy and excitement of watching children on Christmas Day, opening presents, and the thrill and excitement and the unbridled craziness that all involves. Always fun to watch. And hey, I won $10 on a scratch off too, so it can't be all that bad, right?
Yeah, I tweeted out yesterday. There's only a couple of days a year that I qualify this. I'm always willing to look at pictures of kids and dogs and other pets on Twitter. It's always enjoyable. But there are a couple of days a year that I really love seeing them. First day of school and Christmas Day are a couple of those days where it's just really a lot of fun to see all the pictures of the kids and enjoying their, happy with their new presents or whatever. So, joy and excitement is definitely true. And yeah, bring it on. More, any and all those pictures. I love to see them.
You gotta love it. Yeah. I'll write that up there with my best uncle ever t-shirt that I received.
Yeah.
So can't wear that around in too many circles, though, I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hopefully everybody else had a great Christmas Day, and certainly those of you who didn't, there's always 2021 because a lot of us have said to heck with 2020. So, hope springs eternal for next year. It's time of the show where we traditionally get Case to update us on scheduling and Twitter information. He's out celebrating birthday, though, so we're going to turn it over to Jared, who's going to fill us in on the upcoming schedule, a very easy assignment here, and also our Twitter information. So step up, Jared, and swing for the fence, buddy.
Yeah, not too much to go on with scheduling today. A big one today for most UofL fans is it's the annual Louisville, Kentucky men's basketball game. Tip-off is scheduled for 1 o'clock, so not too long after we'll hop on radio. You can catch that one on ESPN. The next thing that was on the schedule is going to be for New Year's Eve, where the Cards for women's basketball. We're going to head down to Duke down in Durham, North Carolina. We did find out yesterday some breaking news that Duke's women's basketball team has canceled the remainder of their season due to COVID-19 related issues. So, unfortunately, that game will be canceled, and the Cards will continue their drought of having not played in what seems for nearly a month now. And then about the time that will be on air next week, January 2nd, it looks like men's basketball will be down in Boston College, tip-off at noon. So really not too much on scheduling. Quick, easy, less than 60 seconds there. So we'll move on over to Twitter. Case, who's celebrating his birthday today, probably won't be too active on Twitter, but feel free to give him a little birthday shout-out if you hop on there. He goes by best case scenario, BST, no E in the word best. Daryl, who is out celebrating her mother's birthday, so feel free to give her a little shout-out on Twitter, too. She goes by Daryl Faust 4, and I should clarify that Daryl is just Daryl. I know there's a couple different spellings of Daryl, so make sure that we get the confusion out. Jeff here, he'll go by a couple different Twitter accounts. More often than not right now, you'll see him on his just at Jeff McAdams Twitter, and that's the account that he really loves to see all your kids' Christmas pictures and your pets' pictures, especially dogs. You can never post too many there.
Yeah.
And when we
always love pictures of dogs.
Yes, dogs are the best. Definitely keep posting pictures of dogs. When we do have UofL games going on, you can follow him at Card Couple Radio. Not really many UofL games going on right now, as we learned about with the scheduling. Paulie goes by at Cardinal Couple. He'll tweet about just about anything and everything. I don't remember seeing any drunk tweets last night, Paulie. Did I miss anything there?
To be honest with you, I decided to set my phone down about noon and not pay attention to it for a long time on Christmas Day, where I'll be checking Twitter, Facebook, updates on things and all like that. But I figured, hey, I'm just going to give the phone a break today. Set it aside and don't even look at it. And I didn't look at it until about 9 o'clock last night. And then, of course, got hit with all the bombshell news and information on everything. And I was kind of like, wow, this was interesting. But, it is what it is. If I did any drunken tweets last night, Jared, I don't remember. So
I didn't see any. So
good. Yeah, I don't recall seeing any.
Thank goodness, and they probably would have been misspelled and grammatically incorrect if I did. So,
and I guess not to forget myself. Almost forgot myself there, but I do tweet out as Mr. Anderson Jared. I'll kind of come and go in waves sometimes, just about anything and everything, and occasionally share some pictures out there.
Always a great source, that Jared, for photos as well. You can check those out on his Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, any other way you want to check it out on the internet. Jared's usually got something out there for you, is what he's been doing photography-wise. So happy to have him on board here as our photographer and the wonderful work that he does. We certainly enjoy his pictures. In fact, he took a picture of me I used on our Christmas message yesterday from years. I think it was last year that you took that picture of me out there all bundled up and cold at the football game, Jared.
Yeah, up there. You and Sonia with your seats kind of there over in the Cornerstone area, pretty close.
I want to say that was the Syracuse game, if I remember correctly, but I could be off on that. Last year,
we have too many cold football games, so it could be one of many games.
That's the key. Yeah, it sure was last year. Unfortunately, football done this year for the Cards, but It's not our concern. We're going to talk about the joy and excitement of UofL women's sports today. Although we do have some good news later on in regards to that. We'll talk about some of the successful fall semesters in the classrooms for several teams. But first, I think we'll start with that 500-pound gorilla sitting over in the corner thumping his fist against the wall. And that was the cancellation of Duke women's basketball. More importantly, the game against the Cards that was scheduled to take place on December 31st down in Cameron Indoor Stadium. That game will not happen as Duke has decided to opt out of the rest of the season. The news coming out of they suspended their operations temporarily on the 16th after two members of their traveling party, which I found kind of confusing and interesting, tested positive for the virus. I guess they were getting ready to travel down to Miami or something and found that out. But then consequently after that, they had to postpone games against North Carolina State and also a home match that they had scheduled against North Carolina Wilmington. That got postponed as well. And then it was announced yesterday they would not be playing the Cards. In fact, they would not be playing anybody else. Kara Lawson, first-year coach down there, was, I guess, pretty succinct in what she said, saying that she did not think that the teams should be playing during the pandemic. That's my opinion on it, she said. We got a much more broad-based announcement out of the Duke Vice President for Public Affairs and Government Relations and Chief Communications Officer, Michael Schoenfeld, who announced last night the student athletes on the Duke women's basketball team have made the difficult decision to conclude their current season due to safety concerns. He also went on to say that they supported that decision as we have supported the choices made by all student athletes at Duke during this unprecedented time. Duke will maintain our current schedule of competition in other sports and continue to observe our rigorous health and safety protocols, which include daily testing for all student athletes. And these are based on guidance from leading medical experts. The Duke women's basketball Twitter account simply said, "We've opted out of the 2021 season." So it's kind of just kick this whole basket full of information around a little bit, guys. You're the one who actually broke it in our group chat, Jared. So kind of just reactions on that.
I'm kind of in the same boat as Case with his post this morning, where he had mentioned that we had not seen any Power 5 football teams cancel at any point. So it was a little surprising now that we see our first Power 5 women's basketball program cancel. I think we all kind of expected we see something at some point somewhere, but probably much earlier in the season versus late December as we're entering conference play. But it is what it is. It's hard to blame a coach and the players for electing to go that route, along with everything that's going on right now. And when they're trying to keep their health and safety as kind of their best interest right now. So you do have to respect their decision there.
You definitely do. And what it means basically in terms for the Cards is that they had played their last game on December 9th against that same Duke team down there. They will not take the court again now, as far as we know, until the 3rd of January, actually 2021, when they will go to Virginia to play the Cavs. So almost a month with no basketball. What does this do to a team, Jeff?
Obviously, I mean, UofL is going to be back to practicing. So it's almost like another, I almost think it's like another preseason period. Obviously, there was a period in there where UofL was paused because of COVID activities, COVID detections and such within the program. But now they've got this extended time period where they're going to be able to be practicing and preparing. It's almost like another preseason a little bit in preparation. but with the same people you had previously, I almost see it as a chance to take stock of the first few games and say, okay, now let's take some time and put into some real substantive changes versus just preparing for the next team. That's kind of the silver lining look at the situation. Obviously, we've now had several conference games canceled or at least postponed, and at least one canceled. And, there's this looming thing out here that to be eligible for postseason, teams have to play at least 13 games. We're getting not too far away from that. If we have a few more issues with this, we could be pushing up against that fairly soon. So, we've got 5 games in at this point. So we're well on our way, but yeah, a little worried that if things go badly, we could run afoul of that.
One has to kind of wonder now what the ACC will do in terms of reshuffling the deck, rescheduling contest, trying to fill in the void that is left in the ACC schedule with Duke opting out of everything else. I would assume that we will probably see some of that. I don't know if we'll see it like today or not with the the holiday weekend and all. It's probably not going to happen. But we'll probably see something, I would think, maybe Monday about a potential rescheduling of the order of conference ball in the ACC. Certainly, teams will have gaps in their schedules now. Teams have games to make up because of postponements and such. I mean, when will the Cards make up the 3 that were postponed? When
will they make them up?
And will they make them up? That's a very good point. Will it happen at all? I'm just going to take a little Kreskin sleight of hand stuff here, to get this schedule backed up. And then the thing that I was thinking about when I saw this, and I was reading this last night about the cancellation, who's next in the ACC? Is someone else going to come out with the announcement after Duke here? It makes me wonder about that, guys, and I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, it opens the door for other teams now. You don't want to be that first team to say, hey, we're canceling our season, because then everybody kind of looks at you like, come on, man, seriously? So now that someone's already gone out there, gone off the limb and done that, the other teams will feel a little more comfortable saying, well, we're going to follow in their footsteps and just take precautions and cancel the rest of the season. But then if that happens, you kind of expect the ACC to make some changes, not only to the rest of the regular season schedule, but maybe if they can restructure the ACC tournament to give teams more games to be eligible for the NCAA tournament. Hopefully the ACC will kind of work along those lines if that happens.
As far as these tournaments go, too, Jeff, the ACC tournament traditionally an event that takes place in Greensboro over a 3-4 day period. The bigger picture, of course, for everybody is the NCAA tournament. We've seen projections for a 16-team tournament, a 32-team tournament, a 64-team tournament. Where do you see this going? Yeah. Where do you see this going in March?
I think that skips one possibility, that there's not a tournament.
True.
I still think that's a very real possibility. We're starting to see vaccines starting to arrive and be distributed, and people get them. I've had some friends actually already get them, frontline workers. So it's fantastic. I'm cheering that on. I'm hopeful. I'm excited for it. But I'm not convinced that we've seen the end of this yet. I mean, we're still going to have outbreaks and challenges, and the overall numbers. You look at the maps, it doesn't look great right now. It's going to take a little while before we can curb this off, I think, with the vaccine. So I'm not convinced we're going to have one. I think you're going to start seeing some teams realizing that they're going to struggle to get to that 13. And I think you're going to start seeing some pressure on the NCAA to lower that number. And if that starts to be too much and they can't accommodate that, then I think you're going to start seeing some calls that, hey, maybe we just need to bag this all together and go on. Like Jared said, Duke was the first, and it kind of creates a crack in the dam. Will we see other teams do it? I don't know. I don't know of any in particular that are making noises along those directions, but it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if you had some other teams that maybe weren't having a great year. They're like, yeah, let's just bag this and try again next year, and hopefully we can do a little better. But also, I don't want to sound like sour grapes, but I suspect some teams are going to be more likely to do that if they're in that situation. So I don't know. I've always been skeptical that we should be playing. I've always kind of had that same sort of mindset that Carol Lawson did. When we play, I'm going to cheer. I'm going to be a fan. But if this whole thing got bagged, I would probably look at it and say, yeah, probably the right thing to do. It's a bummer not to be able to watch basketball, but it's probably the right thing to do. So count me in that space.
We'll put you in Carol Lawson's camp then.
Yeah. I've always liked Carol Lawson, so, I'm okay with that.
And certainly having her on your team wouldn't be bad at all.
Right.
If you were going to play games.
Yeah.
Get the ball to Carol and let her shoot.
Yeah. Get that guard play going on.
Yeah, absolutely. You might get some other those ex-stars that she played with out there too, Jeff. You could have yourself a heck of a team. Mm-hmm. But own personal thoughts here on it. I do hate to see it go down, but as I've said ever since this thing basically started, and since there were so many uncertainties, the health and the care and the safety of the student athlete should be and needs to continue to be the prime concern of every athletic director, every sports information person, every head coach and staff in Division I NCAA sports, okay? Let's not forget the term. We use it here quite often, and it still rings true. Student athlete. They're not getting paid big money for this. They're not getting promotions on major networks trying to sell tennis shoes or whatever. They're students. They're working toward a degree. Less than 1% of these will ever go pro in any type of organized sports. The rest that they can do is get that degree in their field of study and go on to make a difference in the world in that way and aspect. I mean, sure, I feel bad for Dana Evans. Okay, if it happens, if it goes down. Dana, decided not to forego her final year of eligibility, decided not to go to the WNBA and stay here to take us to a title.
Well,
that's on the rocks right now.
Let's be fair. She does have another year if she wants it. I don't think she'll take it, and I don't blame her. But she was, as part of this, the NCAA did grant all these students another year of eligibility if they wanted it. So she could come back in yet another year. So
I have a hard time seeing that, pal.
Yeah, I don't think she will, but it is an option for her if she wants to.
Okay, so you're bringing up the 3% out of 100 factor,
well,
which is fine.
Yeah,
I
just want to be clear to make sure that is out there. That a lot of that, if we do this cancellation, players don't necessarily lose a year of their eligibility, but as part of it. So at least there's that much. It's a silver lining to a dark cloud. So
it'd be interesting to see the number that take up on that if it does go down there, because right now it's all retrospect. They could decide, the ACC could say, hey, we're going to go ahead and play games, and if Duke wants to sit out, that's fine. The rest of you all get on out there, do your daily corona tests to make sure you're not positive. Follow all the PP procedures, follow everything you can. We're going to play this schedule by golly until nobody wants to play anymore.
Yeah. So we had an interesting thing in my workplace. We've always had, of course, I'm in a distributed work environment. I have colleagues all over the world that I work with. But one of the things that we always talked about within the part of the company that I'm in, I'm a very large company overall, but the smaller part of the company that I'm in, we had this concept of the priorities of things. And the priorities had been listed as dealing with emergencies, taking care of the people, and then, day-to-day, whatever normal operations go on after that, right? We recently changed that that those first two prioritizations didn't sit well with some people. And so they swapped them around. Basically, we said people first, then deal with the emergencies. Then you go on with your day-to-day operations of things. A lot of the higher up management, I wasn't involved in this, but I supported. A lot of the higher up management looked at a lot of the emergency responder response plans and things like that. And that virtually all of them said, you make sure your people are safe and protected and able to function first. Then you try to deal with the emergency response situation. If you don't have your people safe, if you don't have your people protected, if you don't have your people healthy, it doesn't matter if you try to respond to the emergency situation. You're not going to be able to. So I say that to echo what you talked about, Polly, about making sure that these student athletes, and let's be clear, in my company's work environment, these people are being paid for what they do. This is their job. It's their livelihood. These students don't have that situation, right? They're not getting paid for this, right? Just a whole another can of worms that we've talked about in the past before. But, yeah, absolutely. We need to make sure that these students are safe and taken care of. Endangering their lives for a air quote amateur sporting league, that's not cool. So I agree with you. Let's make sure that the students get taken care of and that we're doing things safely. I've said it all along, but yeah.
I'm going to throw this to Jared because out of the, I guess, 4 or 5 of us that are normally on this podcast, Jared is really our only, I guess you could call him a frontline worker, because he is actually reporting to a facility 4 or 5 days a week to actually perform his job instead of working remotely. Plus, he's getting ready to travel here in just a few short days. So I'd be quite interested to get Jared's take on all this. And are you having any second thoughts now about taking the trip, Jared? How do you feel being out there day after day, dealing with people out in this pandemic?
It's not really the most pleasant thing, to be honest. Just because a lot of the people you deal with are the ones that honestly just don't care. They're the ones, I see a lot of those, even on a daily basis, that just don't believe in anything that's going on right now. And even a simple task is just asking somebody to wear a mask while inside the facility or not come inside. It's been not fun. We've been had an issue where at one of our drafters, which our drafters are done virtually now. We don't do any types of tubes or canisters at all. But the person they were dealing with had said, hey, I'm stopping by to make this deposit on my way home. I've been told I've got to quarantine after getting a positive test. And then we had to go through a whole situation like, why are you coming here if you're positive? Because now we have to get someone out here to completely clean and sanitize this thing and then explain to the people behind you in line why we have to close this down. Like, are you not using common sense? Do you don't care? Like, what's the issue here? So you see a lot of that. And then when you have a coworker test positive, which I've been in this situation multiple times now, and the stress of not knowing, have you contracted it? Have you passed it on to somebody? I've gone out and gotten probably 4 or 5 COVID tests already. I got one just a few days ago, which came back negative, which I plan to get before traveling. And then upon return to Louisville, I'll get another test on my own free will. But there's a lot of either ignorance or stubbornness out there right now. And it makes it tough on everybody else when you have to deal with those types of people. And it kind of shines light on future and like what I may see myself wanting to do one day, as well as my faith in other people that are around me. So it's not been easy at all, and it does take a toll on your mental health.
On one of my rare forays out into the world as it is now, and I'll be quite honest with you, I haven't been doing much at all in public because of my age and my risk factors and such, but there is a winery near the Louisville area which puts out a couple of certain types of wine that I wanted to give as a Christmas gift, okay? And first of all, I was surprised that the winery was open. the day before Christmas. Finding that out, we said, okay, we're going to go down there. We're going to wear our masks. We're going to go get those couple bottles of wine. So we went into the facility, all hand sanitizer up, masks in place, ready to go, and walked in there. And it was like 1994. Nobody in there was wearing a mask. Nobody seemed worried about a mask. That was employees as well as patrons in the winery. And buddy, I got in and out as fast as I could. And I even went to the crazy aspects of wiping down the bottles of wine with hand sanitizer. Just to make sure. Maybe that's my paranoia about this whole thing, but it just made me wonder. I make this short 40-minute trip. Jared, you're getting ready to go down to a completely different state and spend several days down there. What kind of concerns have you got on this right now?
It's not the concerns of being in South Carolina, just because our plans aren't really to go anywhere while we're out and about. My concern is going to be more dealing with the airports and being on the plane and not knowing who's around you that may have tested positive. And even though I'll be wearing a mask at all times and washing my hands and using hand sanitizer as much as possible, you never fully truly know. So that's one of the reasons that we were just choosing to stay kind of at Katie's place when we're in South Carolina versus, going out and doing a bunch of things. And maybe we can find something similar to Lights Under Louisville here at the Mega Cavern where you can stay in your car while still go out and do some activities. So we will certainly see, and I plan on taking as many and every precaution that I can while I'm there.
Yeah, I'd say that's a very wise move on your part. So I guess the main thing about all this and what we've discovered over the last 12 to 24 hours here is that despite the fact that there's a vaccine out now and it's going on, this pandemic is far from being at a relaxed sort of stage. In fact, they're predicting after the Christmas holidays and everything, it could get a lot worse as far as cases and people actually going into hospitals and taxing an already overcrowded ICU system and things of that nature. So still continue, obviously, to be safe. And to our dear student athletes out there, please, 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 just if you've got to opt out, don't feel bad about it, because it's your life, it's your future, it's your health that is the main concern, I think, of any true amateur athletic sports fan. We don't really worry if we're going to be 15-5 or 5-15, if it means that a bunch of you all end up getting sick and maybe some of you all are unable to finish your college careers because of this. So safety, please, first and foremost there. That's kind of my wrap on it, guys. Just kind of some of your thoughts on this to kind of wrap this thing up.
No, I'm with you there. I think that's important to remember. This has almost become more of a discussion about the current state of COVID than it has about sports, but that's okay. It's important. It is a significant thing in our society right now that we need to deal with. It impacts what we do. So what we're talking about here. So that's important, and I'm with you. And I've said all along, I'm not going to fault. I've heard people talk about, hey, maybe I'm just being paranoid about this, that are being very careful about it and are taking some extra steps, and maybe more even than I am. And say, well, okay, maybe I'm just being paranoid about it. Well, I'm not going to fault anyone for being too careful in this. Never. I will never do that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So, take care of things. Don't worry about what other people think about whether you're going overboard or not. Go overboard if you think that's appropriate. You won't get any grief from me about it, for sure.
Absolutely. On other news, we ended last week's show by doing some predicting. Yes, we did. We decided to try and predict who would win the contest between Florida State and Pittsburgh, which was taking place actually on Sunday. Pleased to announce that out of the 5 participants, only Jared and Case had the correct answer in picking Florida State to beat Pitt. The three basketball minds here on our broadcast, Jeff, Darrell, and I. So I say that with air quotes and, of course, facetiously. We all decided to go with the underdog Pitt. So if you at home had picked FSU to beat Pitt, then we certainly slap you on the back and see if you can arrange a socially distanced party with Jared on your success here.
To be fair, I think just about all of us said it was basically a coin flip. So,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but they flipped correctly, Jeff.
Right.
So
that's fair.
So with the three of us today, I think what we'll try to do, even though we're a couple short on our normal pick and on that, let's just go right ahead and do the obvious prediction for today, guys. We'll take it away from women's sports. We'll go to the UK, UofL men's basketball game today in the KFC Center. I'm not going to ask for score or anything like that.
Just who wins.
We'll keep it just as simple as last time. Who wins this one? Jeff, who do you got?
The running joke in Cardinal on Twitter is how much of a bugaboo Kentucky is for UofL and laughing about, you've got this team that, that is not having a good year at Kentucky. But yet somehow they'll find a way to beat Louisville. You got to go. Honestly, you got to go with Louisville as the favorite in this. They're playing better. Kentucky's playing pretty poorly right now. You got to think Louisville is the favorite here. But man, it's hard for me to divorce that from an objective look at numbers versus emotional. I want UofL to win. So, but ultimately, I think they both come down on the same side. So I'm gonna pick UofL on this one.
All right, with a great explanation on why he's picked the Cards, Jeff goes Cards. All right, Jared, what do you got for me on this one?
Yeah, I have to agree with Jeff with the running joke of this could be like a year where UofL should win and they found a way to lose to Kentucky, but I'm going to still go on and put my faith in the Cards and hope that they've had enough time to prepare and get ready and find a way to get us a late Christmas present here. So I'll put my money in the basket for the Cards today.
And so it comes to me on whether I'm going to make it a clean sweep or be the dissenting voice here. And I'll be quite honest with you. I've been reading a lot about UK men's basketball over the past week or so. That right up there, boys, is a zoo where the gates have been open and the zookeepers have left town because they're running amok up there in Lexington on stuff. It's a situation that's totally out of control. It's totally crazy. Players fighting other players, coaches belittling their players. All kinds of stuff is happening right now in Lexington. The bottom line being is they're coming into this game probably that I can ever remember in the series history the least prepared to play their in-state rival that they've ever been, okay? Given all that, I go back to what Jeff said. UK's dominance in the series, I'm going Kentucky. And I know if you all want to throw stuff at the house, if you want to, block me on Twitter, whatever you want to do, go ahead and do it. But I'm saying that the Cats, despite all the turmoil, nonsense, and craziness that's going on in Lexington, find a way to come into Louisville and beat our beloved Cardinals in the KFC Center. So we shall know around 3 o'clock today. If you want to shoot me your defamatory quotes and things, send them to cardinalcouple@tmc.com. Just kidding there. I hope Louisville plays well. I just don't see us winning. I really don't. So we have it there.
Okay.
Case and Darrell, we don't know about. I'm sure Darrell will probably be going Cards all the way. Case would probably side with me, but we'll see. We have no way of knowing out of them so far.
Get that group text going, Paul.
Yeah, actually, you probably need to do that since you're so fast on that thing. See if either one answers or responds while we're still on the air here. But we do have other things to talk about in the world of women's sports, and we have some good news, guys. Good news today is we talk about the fall semester grades in the classroom. And let's start it out with our man Scott Teeter's women's lacrosse squad. They excelled quite well in the classroom. They ended up putting together a 3.65 team grade point average for the fall semester. That's out of a possible 4.0, fellas. 3.65. I don't think I ever saw that in one semester at U of L.
No, I know I didn't. I
The whole team.
was pretty consistently a 3.0 student.
Yeah, when I hit 3.0, it was cause for celebration. But it was a situation where, and you figure a roster would have had 30, 35 players here. To have that cumulative average here, my gosh, some of the numbers are 35 of the players earned red and black scholar athlete status for a 3.25 or better cumulative GPA. 21 players were named to the Dean's List for the fall, which means they were above a 3.5, and additionally, 8 more players were Dean's Scholars for a perfect 4.0 grade point average for Scott Teeter and his crew's job there out there for academic excellence. Jared, this is amazing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely to be able to brag and boast about having a team that's not only excelling on the field but also in the classroom, which is something that U of L has prided itself on for many, many years now. And it's nice to know that U of L is not one of those schools that is we only care about how you do on the field or on the court type place, because you'll see plenty of schools that are out there. Louisville does take academics seriously, and they do have repercussions if you're not meeting certain requirements that may result in loss of scholarship for the team you play on, as well as even being suspended or removed from that team. So it's nice to see that, especially such a high GPA, to get it up to that number. It's not an easy task, no matter what your major is. So to be able to pull that off is quite an impressive statement.
Jeff, I kind of teased in my article about this. My standard post-game interview with players that I have done for lacrosse for years always usually starts out with, "What did you see out there today?" I'm not sure if I want to ask that to a bunch of girls who are getting 3.6 GPAs. They're going to look at me like the village idiot, which in many cases I am. But I'm going to have to revamp my whole opening statement remark for the players. So I don't know, it's going to have to be like a 5-paragraph thing.
Yeah, just hit the thesaurus and make you sound smarter.
I'm going to have to find some old epic speeches from people back 20 years ago that nobody remembers and phrase them from my opening question. "To the dire circumstances of the situation involved in the So a big congratulations for them. But hey, our buddy Karen Ferguson Days and the Louisville women's soccer team, they weren't far behind, were they, Jeff?
No, they weren't. 3.594 is their cumulative team GPA, so pretty close behind. That is a couple of stats on that because, it's a sports team. We still got to talk about stats, right? That is above a 3.0 GPA for the team for 2 decades solid now.
Wow.
Since every semester since 2000. 25 of the 28 players are at a 3.0 or better. 23 of them above a 3.25. Let's see, 11 above a 3.4, and 9 with a perfect 4.0 on the team. That's some pretty impressive numbers, and absolutely want to cheer them on in that. Amari Hopkins and Gabby Kuzelos earned their degrees in the fall. And then Amina Ekic is graduating this winter. I think they just had that graduation ceremony. So virtually, of course. But, congratulations to all of them, all of that team for doing so incredibly well. It's some pretty impressive numbers. Like I said, I was floated around a 3.0. If I got above a 3.1, I was jumping for joy. So in a semester. So yeah, I'm impressed.
Certainly great remarks. Great marks out there for the girls at Lynn. And Jared, women's basketball, the third announcement we've got on this, and although these two were glittering, hey, the Cardinal basketball girls, they didn't do too bad here, buddy. You know, they ended up with a very respectable collective 3.094 grade point average for the fall semester. So that's not bad at all, Jared, is it?
Oh no, not at all. When you look at a 3.0 being a solid B and being able to say that you averaged at least a B across the board is a pretty good statement, especially when you're looking at you are trying to balance both your sports side of things as well as the school side of things. And Louisville's always made sure that the resources are there for the student athletes for any help that they may need. So I'm glad that their GPA was there at the 3 point. You said 3.09, I believe, breaking it down to the 100th
Yep.
decimal point there. But no, that's very excellent. And you got to include on top of that kind of the stress you're looking at of the when these results came out. We were kind of in the early part of the pandemic, so then you had a little bit of stress going on there. So being able to just balance everything is very excellent and impressive, and you got to be happy for them.
Absolutely. And Jeff had mentioned where women's soccer had a 2-decade run of 3.0 or better. This was the 13th straight semester that women's basketball had earned better than the 3.0. So that's very impressive. Top of the list, Haley Van Lith earned a Dean Scholar Award with a 4.0 semester, her first semester ever. Liz Dixon, Marissa Russell, and Keana Smith were named to the Dean's List, earning above a 3.5 GPA. And then looking at the Chi Alpha Sigma Honor Society. Yes, that great society which recognizes junior and senior student athletes with a cumulative GPA above 3.4. Dana Evans, Alana Smith, and Keana Smith are now qualified as members of the Chi Alpha Sigma Honor Society. So great academic pursuits going on over at the Korber Center as well for Jeff Walls' charges over there, guys. So I'm sure we'll see more of these as things come down the pike later on and we get more reports out of the academic success. But very proud of all three of these squads. So very, very proud of all three of them.
Absolutely. Very impressive.
And other than that, we don't have a whole lot of more news really to bring to you because of obviously things being shut down. But an interesting tweet that came out the other day where I think Case and Jared and a few of them had some questions about that. That's on Alexis Mobley, who's due here for the 2022 season. Very highly touted high school player who at 6'2" guarantees us she's going to come in here and dunk her first year.
That'd be so much fun.
That'd be so much fun to watch. But she's listed on her team's roster as a senior this year, which caused some speculation, guys. Has she reclassified to 2021? What did we find out about this, Jared?
It looks like that she's probably still not going to be playing and stepping onto the court for women's basketball until the original projection of 2022. Although with this kind of on pace to graduate early, it is not uncommon to see players join a program as either like a red shirt or unofficially just to go on and get that extra practice and experience a semester early. I think we saw it with softball a couple times, and you do often see it with some of your more profitable programs like football, men's basketball. So it would not surprise me if that we'd see her join a little early on, but she's not dressed and she's just sitting on the bench.
Jeff, does that seem to make sense to you?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't follow this as closely, so we'll see. Don't know.
Certainly to be able to achieve that type of high school academic record where I think I'd read she'd already achieved already 8 or 9 college credits.
Yeah, I think
From
that
some
it
of the
was in
classes.
that number, in that ballpark. Yeah.
Yeah, right around there, and all that. And so that's certainly an option I think that could happen for her. You also have to wonder sometimes about going to maybe a specialized school as a graduate student in high school, where we've seen that happen
Yeah.
occasionally. My
Prep
old
school,
theory, and
maybe.
that was one day that used to go to remember Oak Hill
Right.
Academy in Virginia, and players would go there. I think Angel McCotter even did that by leaving Baltimore and going to a school in North Carolina for graduate studies before she came to Louisville to do that. So certainly that's an option. I doubt, let's face it, I don't think we're going to see Alexis go over and play in Europe for a year, okay, or anything like that. That's probably not in the equation. Be interested to follow that story. Certainly, if she were to arrive on campus at the same time, although in a non-competing status, along with two very very good players already coming in, and Sydney Shetland and also Peyton Verhulst. Boy, having those three on campus at the same time, well, that would be something else to see, guys.
Yeah, it's there's great things ahead for this program. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see. I'm excited for the great players coming in.
And I think we all are. There's a wealth of great players on the program, of course, obviously already. We hope to see that continue, and certainly it looks like the future's boding well too for replacements for those who graduate as the program goes on. So let's kind of take a look ahead now to 2021. And I'm going to pose this as kind of a broad-based open question to each one of you. Looking at Cardinal women's athletics in 2021, some of the things maybe that you'd like to see, Jeff, some of the things that you hope will happen for Cardinal women's athletics in the spring.
Gosh, I want to see the spring sports get a season. Theirs was basically cut out almost completely last year. With the within the context of what we were talking about earlier, being safe, I think having a spring season is dependent upon our society advancing to the point where we can get a control of this, get the vaccines out and get in place, and make it a safe environment. But I would love to see that happen. I think that's probably my biggest desire for the spring is to just have a season. I'm not going to put any great demands or requests on top of that. Just let's have a good season and get to go out and play. I know these kids want to get out there, and young men and women, consider both sides of that. Just want to get out there and play, and I want to see them be able to do that.
It's a very important wish. Certainly one I share as well. Jared, chime in on this.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with what Jeff said at all. So I kind of changed what I was going to say a little bit different, and I'm hoping what we see with the spring semester is I'm hoping that during this last year or so that we've been doing this pandemic, I'm hoping that they haven't really slacked off and taken it for granted, and I'm hoping that we'll see where these student athletes have taken that extra time to prepare and better themselves in terms of both on the field and off, so we can see their success is much greater. And as I know with the Teeter squad, as they continue to improve every year, as he's been rebuilding this program almost from the ground up completely. So you don't want to see them take a step back just because they decided to take a year off.
True. I'm going to watch with great interest to see how Louisville, as well as many other programs, try to balance the fall sports that have now decided, hey, we're going to play in the spring, along with the teams that traditionally play in the spring, and see how they work all that into a schedule where they don't have 3 or 4 games on top of each other 5 days a week, okay? This is going to be an engineering marvel job, Jeff, something that you would probably be proud of if you were to produce. Let's face it. Who have you got coming back in the spring? You've got field hockey. You've got women's soccer. You've got volleyball, in addition to the end of women's basketball, and then the spring sports softball, lacrosse plus track and field, swimming.
Is there going to be some field hockey going on?
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Because other than the ACC, nobody played field hockey, right?
Yeah. And is the Big Ten going to open up and let them play other people besides Big Ten members? A lot of ramifications and things here, which I wouldn't want to be in charge of scheduling. I can tell you that right now. There'd be a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of half pints of bourbon when I go to work. So play over there. But so we'll see what happens with all that. Certainly, it's going to be a fun spring. But of course, as we've said all show long, it all depends on where the pandemic's at, where we're at on that. So let's take a look back real quickly as we kind of end up the show here on the basketball season for the women's squad as it's been so far. Of course, the Cards are 5-0, ranked number 2 in the nation, ranked number 2 in Connecticut's region of the bracketology, which I totally disagreed with, as I'm sure many of you all did. Well, let's hand out some superlative awards for 5 games. I know it sounds silly and stupid, but let's go ahead and do it. Since we basically played all the games in 2020 we're going to play that we know of. We know by far what a lot of people think as far as our most outstanding player have been in these first 5 games. So I'm going to take Dana and set her out of the equation.
Other than Dana? Yeah.
Other than Dana, who has been your most outstanding player in these first 5 games. Let's start with Jerry. I've stunned him.
Did we lose him? We might have lost him. I don't know.
Oh, he muted out. Okay, so we'll go to you.
There we go.
Oh, okay.
No, sorry about that. I'm back, but yeah, go.
You're sitting there babbling incoherently to yourself. Huh? Most outstanding player besides Dana in the first 5 games.
You wanted to take it first, Jeff, or you want me to go on and take it?
He called on you first.
Okay, absolutely. I was going to say, I'm pretty sure we're both going to go with the same person here with Haley Van Lith, if you take away Dana, because those two are the ones that are really running the court right now and running this program. And she's already won herself some Player of the Week titles, Freshman of the Week titles. She's having a great start to her year, and she's looked fantastic, and she's even earned herself an early season technical. So plenty more to come from that, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, well, what's left? Right. Except
Right,
getting thrown out of a game. Yeah.
Let's hope that last one doesn't happen, but you never really know when you get down to some of this ACC women's basketball officiating. But it's hard not to choose Haley Van Lith when you've taken Dana out of the equation already.
Okay, he's throwing Haley at you, Jeff. You gonna agree with him? You're going elsewhere.
I was going to go elsewhere. I think you have to shout out Haley Van Lith as a very, very fine player and a significant contributor to the team already. I look at the clown car of numbers of guards coming off the bench for UofL and say we could replace guards, right? Pretty easily. We got a bunch that are really, really high quality. HVL is certainly very good, is one of the best among them. So absolutely. However, I'm going to go with Olivia Cochran and her filling a role that is challenging, a little more challenging role on the Cardinals team. We don't have as many bigs coming off the bench. You still have Liz Dixon also there, which is also contributing well, but Olivia Cochran is getting the start and playing well. So I'm going to say that mostly because of the role that she fills and the need for that role. So it's maybe a controversial choice, but
no, 44 the OC. I'm fine with that. That's a good pick. She has come in and certainly shown that she is ready for college ball and ready to do some great things. I'm going to go in the third direction. I'm going to go with a player that actually I watched for a year and just wondered when we were going to get to see her amazing talents, to see what she could do. And then the season comes around and all of a sudden, boom, she's out the first 2 games. But boy, did she make up for it after that 2-game sit down. And that's Keana Smith, who came in here and amazed Cardinal fans with her first game back performance, and ever since she has come in, she has been one of the three amigos out there with Van Lith and Evans in the guard slot, doing incredible things. A three-pointer touch that is just beautiful to watch. Her overall hustle and attitude. Hey, if I'm going to build a team, I'm starting with Keana Smith. You know why? Because she goes out there and she does the blue-collar stuff, and she succeeds at it, and she's very good at it. So, Keana, you get my vote. MOP so far. Keep up the good work. Absolutely. And that kind of brings us up to the 12 o'clock hour. So we certainly had a fun and informative, appointed, I think, in a very detailed discussion today on the state of Cardinal women's athletics, especially basketball right now. So keeping that in mind and such, we'll kind of roll into our final thoughts. And who did I start with last week? I can't remember. Was it Case or Jared?
Beats me.
Yeah, I don't remember either. So we'll start with you, Jared. Final thoughts.
Yeah, first, let's swing back around. Case got back to us in the group message there, and he actually is going to go with the Cardinals today, who he's predicting to win. I have not heard back from Daryl, but based off of her social media posts, I'm going to go on and say that Daryl is definitely pulling for, and going to say the Cards are going to get the win today.
I stand alone against the masses. Okay.
Right, but for my final thoughts, it's kind of looking back at the Nashville situation yesterday, and I think we need to be appreciative and thankful for those who may have been pulled away from their families during the Christmas time to have to come out and do their duty and take care of some things. And I know that's not how people wanted to spend Christmas, so we need to be grateful for what they did and the sacrifices they had to make yesterday to help take care of a pretty severe situation and make sure things don't progress further worse.
An ongoing response to that. I was actually kind of going the same direction with my thoughts on that. I work in IT, and of course the explosion was right outside of AT&T wiring center in Nashville, one of the big ones there. And it's affecting services regionally. It's actually affecting I'm on T-Mobile for my cell service. It's actually causing it some issues. I still have service, but it's flaky. So if you're experiencing problems on the internet today or throughout yesterday, that may be why. So it's causing widespread issues. But it's also an ongoing response. This will take days and days to even recover services, let alone rebuild everything that got destroyed, that got damaged and destroyed in that. So it's going to be a significant construction project just on the AT&T building there. So I'm not a huge fan of AT&T in general, but hey, this is an outside thing that happens, and they got to deal with it. And you've got a building that may not be completely structurally safe that people are needing to go into to try to restore critical services, including even 911 service. So, some thoughts for the responders, the both emergency responders and emergency engineering response that happens there. So, it's a pretty massive undertaking to deal with something like this.
Absolutely so. A very stunning thing yesterday morning. As for final thoughts here, I'm going to say thank you. And I'm going to say thank you to one of the programs at the University of Louisville, the field hockey program. Cardinal Couple covers quite a few of them down there, as you well know. Some of them, Cardinal Couple even backs financially with donations each year. Received a very nice letter in the mail the other day with a Christmas card from the field hockey program, where they went into great detail thanking us for the things that we did, the coverage that we've provided them, the donation that we gave them, the things that they are hopeful for in 2021, and also a certain special message from Coach Sowery to everybody about what field hockey means to her and what she has found out it means to the community that supports them out of all the programs that we cover. It's the only letter I got out of them was from field hockey, so a special thanks for them. And also Sowery wrote a personal note at the bottom of it. She goes, "Paulie, I need to get you a field hockey cap."
Yeah.
So there you go. I would just as soon settle for the bottle of very fine bourbon she keeps in her office. A little Pappy would be fine instead of a hat, Coach. But I'll certainly accept the hat if you do decide to do it. But so yeah, thanks, Field Hockey, because it's nice to know that you can come out and actually physically recognize in a letter the old-fashioned way of doing stuff, mailing it out to people who have donated and backed your program. So thank you, Coach Sauer. Thank you, Field Hockey. Y'all great. That's going to about do it for us this week. I think you're on the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour. Really hope. Thank everybody for listening, and we will catch you back next week, 11 a.m. for another broadcast, unless you know something we don't. Until then, I'll let Jared get us out of here with his itinerary to South Carolina.
Lots of chilling at home. Not too much happening in there, so we'll be sitting back watching basketball, football. But yeah, we'll see y'all next year.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Next year it'll be.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.